Hello you golfing legends, it's your boy Topbloke. How are you all doing? It's a lovely day here in London town, and I thought I'd talk about garden golf simulators, right? Because it seems to me, right, at this moment in time, everyone's posting themselves building a net in the garden or building a garden simulator, golf simulator that is. And should you be doing it? Let's find out. Okay, there's a couple of options you can go here. You can actually do something more permanent, which I've done here. I've, as you can see, can you have a look here? There's a line there. That's because I didn't plan it out properly and I ordered the shed too small. So I had to then just take the face off of the shed and do like an extension. And I had to put a roof on, put some sort of fake tiles on the roof, the guttering, and if you take a look inside, you can see that I've had to dig down to get the space, the height, to get more height for the driver. There you go. There's my clubs. There's a mirror that I use to pose in. So here's my SkyTrack unit. It's in a protective casing, which I bought separately. There's a guy in America who made these. He made an absolute frigging fortune out of this. There's the unit itself. I think I paid £2,000 at the time 3 years ago. They're a bit cheaper now, although you can't buy them in a minute, I don't think. So this protective casing, because the only trouble with these types of launch models, this is a photographic photocell one, where the TrackMan is radar, this is photo-based, is that the dot, a little laser dot comes up here, and you put the ball in there, and there's not much space there, so there's quite a lot of danger of hitting the unit itself with the club, or if someone swings as an over-the-top move or whatever. So that's a real danger. And a lot of people are very weary about having their friends over and using this. But there are other units you can get the Mevo Plus, which is getting good reviews at the minute, and it's about the same price. With this thing, you have to pay like a yearly subscription, like £90 a year, just to keep some added features on the driving range. I think it's a bit of a con, if you ask me. And also, if you want to use the simulation software, you have to have what they call a game improvement plan. But with the Mevo Plus coming out, you don't have to. You don't have a yearly subscription. But the only thing, the advantage this has got is that you can use this in smaller confined places like what I've got here. Onto the computer. This is just a bog standard computer. This doesn't need much software to drive the driving range. You can actually use your iPhone or an iPad. So this is just a cheapish computer. I leave in here all the time, so if I ever get robbed, it's not the end of the world. Got no data on there or nothing like that. So and obviously you've got to get electrics supplied to your shed or to your golf simulator. And there's a light switch there. Painted it all black. Acoustic plasterboard. And here is a gym mat that I use just for shanks. Got that from IKEA. This is an archery net that the average golfer talked about the other day. Now, this is okay for indoors. This is all right if you want to put a projection. This is a very cheap way of using a projection net, as they might call them. And because the proper, like if you see Mark Crossfield and Rick Shields, their screen's probably around £1,000, £800. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend using this outside, not at all. It wouldn't last 5 minutes. The other thing with this archery net, and it does puddle a lot, and it stretches. Where you keep hitting it in the same place, it stretches. And eventually, I mean, this is my second one, I've gone through it. So that's something to bear in mind. But I say they're relatively cheap. There's much cheaper than one I've bought it. I think I paid about 200 quid for this, but I think you can get it for now for like 120 quid this size. So yeah, and the other thing is, I'm using cable ties, which is wrong as well. The reason why I'm using cable ties is because, again, I've got not much width to play with. Ideally, you should have it like a trampoline. You should have a bungee. I've got one down here, so have a look. You can see that. You should really use bungees because that can give it extra spring. And you have to play around with the tension because if you have it too tight, it would bounce back, which I've had done before. I've had it hit me in the shins. Now we come to the golf mat. It's just a bog standard range mat. I've actually cut a little bit off there because the thing is, these mats, and I think this is another video, another discussion. I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk about, is that they're very forgiving for fat shots. It just slides off. So this is probably what you wonder, why you hit the shots perfectly on the range, then you go out on the course and you fat it. So then I read online a couple of years ago, or a year ago, that you need to get something more sort of a deep pole thing like this thing. It's called a Country Elite mat. It's just a strip, because they're quite expensive. I think I paid £100 just for this strip. So I put this on there, and it's meant to give you more spin. But then again, I've just read about these type of mats, and there's a few issues here. And say it's another video, but I'll just briefly tell you that it's causing a lot of injuries to people's wrists. And I think, in a way, that although I enjoy this room a lot, and I don't regret doing this, and it keeps me entertained, and especially in these times, I'm not too sure if it's made me a better golfer. I really don't, because you're hitting off mats, you're on a flat lie. The spin numbers, it's a new report come out, they're completely wrong. So all these, people like Crossfield and Rick Shields doing these tests, it's completely different from hitting off the grass. You're supposed to hit the ball and then take turf afterwards, get a divot. Can't do these on these things. They've tried to simulate, they've got sort of other mats that try to simulate a divot, but it's just all completely useless. So in a way, it's probably not making you a better golfer. Obviously, it's making you making your swing more freer, but it also makes you pick the ball rather than trying to get a divot. People that try to get a divot on these mats have a lot of injuries. So it's another video. It's something people don't talk about a lot. So here it is. So that's my golf shed simulator. I've just did a little putting green outside here. So that's all very nice. Now, the other option you can go through is get yourself a garden net, which is the cheaper option. You can still have get yourself a launch monitor. I say outside, I would go with the Mevo Plus. Put a nice net there. But again, I would just go with just a normal net, unless you're going to use a projection, which is useless, completely useless during the day. But I suppose you could do it if at night time, if friends around, it'd be great. But I would go with a nice big 4-meter net across here. Get yourself a mat. So there you go, golfing legends. I hope you enjoyed my little tour. Any questions, just post the comments down below. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Laters.